Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of True Crime with Tiv Klein, giving criminals the disrespect they deserve. Now, this is season 3, episode 12, and this is a part 2 of Missing Woman Sara Reynolds. Now, I don't have a criminal to give disrespect to today, but maybe with all the help of you guys sharing the flyers, you guys are doing a kick-ass job. You guys have been sharing my shit so hard and, really supporting the family, and it's much appreciated because this is what it's all about. And I really can appreciate people keeping their opinions and theories and conspiracy theories out of it too. And just a little background before I get started. Sara Reynolds went missing July 2nd, 2026. Last seen at the HO Mart off 492 and I-81 in New Milford, Pennsylvania. She's 130 pounds, about 5'2", has facial piercings, auburn reddish brownish hair, tattoos, and she was last seen wearing black hay boots, a black sleeveless shirt, and gray leggings. She is the mother of a 5-year-old son who she would never abandon. She even missed his birthday, and it's not something she would do. And there have been no leads, there have been no sightings, there have been nothing. She just vanished. And we know people don't just vanish out of thin air. We know that. But I wanted to give some updates because not everybody follows my Facebook. Some people only follow my podcast. So some things I'm going to read right off my Facebook page. Other things are just going to be me talking as I go. But thank you. Thank you for sharing this information. Thank you for advocating. Thank you for helping bring Sara home. I love true crime community because people care. The ones who are in it for the right reasons. There are some assholes out there, but for the majority, a lot of people care and they want to help. But it's just very important to keep it ethical. And that's going to lead me into what I'm about to say. But thank you for tuning in to True Crime with Tiv Klein. And again, this is part 2 of Missing Woman Sara Reynolds, last seen New Milford Township, Pennsylvania, which is by the border of New York. And it's about 45 minutes to an hour from Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area, but it's closer to New York. It's up by Montrose and Tuckahoe. So if you're familiar with those places, I'm just trying to give my listeners a geographical map here in their heads. But I want to explain something. True crime isn't fiction. These are real people. And I want to explain why I'm so particular about facts, sources, and accuracy when I talk about missing people and true crime cases, right? So I didn't get involved in this because I want to sit behind a screen and invent theories about strangers. That's not why I do it. I don't do it for clickbait. I don't do it for engagement. I don't even have a sponsor on my podcast because that's not what I do it for. If it happened down the road, cool, but it's not why I do it. I do it because I want to help. I got involved because I care, and I host True Crime with Tiv Klein on podcasts and social media because I want to raise awareness. I want to be a voice. I spent time in the past volunteering with the Gabby Petito Foundation. Amazing foundation, amazing people. And if you follow true crime, I know you know who Gabby Petito is. She was a social media influencer. She was traveling across the country in a van with her fiance and unfortunately lost her life by the hands of him. And it was national. It was international. She really did touch the world. And because of Gabby, literally, there's been a lot of laws changed and education to police and first responders and in the classrooms, thanks to her parents, Jim, Tara, Nikki, and Joe. They haven't stopped. They're amazing. And I have such a similar case and story to Gabby's that's why I got so invested in it. And I remember when she went missing, people in my area would make fun of me and be like, why don't you just help people in your own community? Like, why are you so invested in this one? And because they never knew that I was abused. They never knew my history until I started talking about it. And because of Gabby, I started. But you know what? That first flyer I saw of Gabby, it's why I started speaking. Because it hit home. It was, wow, like that could have been me. Because my ex wanted a van. He wanted to travel. I was a social media influencer. I was strangled. And when you see true crime from a whole different perspective, it's like this light came on, right? So I worked with and spoken to people who are connected to missing people, missing person cases, victims, families, advocates, attorneys, investigators, detectives, journalists, news reporters, death and forensic investigators, pathologists, and others who work in the field day in and day out. The people that live these nightmares every day and have PTSD because they face it every day. The people who see what false accusations and conspiracy theories can do to harm a victim, their families, and an investigation. I've met many people face to face. Nancy Grace, Cheryl McCollum. Speaking of Cheryl McCollum, I'm going to give her a plug here, because I have a book next to me. Swans Don't Swim in a Sewer. Cheryl McCollum is a crime scene investigator, actually in the Crime Scene Investigation Hall of Fame. She's coming out with a show about Alcatraz on the Discovery Channel, so stay tuned. Cheryl's a dear friend of mine. And she wrote this book about Melissa Wolfenberger going missing in 1998, and she actually worked with her father, who was the Flint River killer in Georgia, to solve her case behind bars. She only did it through phone calls and notes, talking to her father. Her father didn't do it, but he helped solve her case. And I actually interviewed her sister, Tina Patton, a few episodes back if you want to give a listen. But that's Cheryl McCollum. And, obviously I've met Gabby's parents. I've met Jesse Weber from Long Crime, Vinnie Politan from Port TV, Colby Ryan, whose mom, Lori Vallow, killed his siblings, Tylee and JJ, and buried them in the backyard. Joseph Scott Morgan, John Ramsey, Marsha Clark, who was the prosecutor in the O.J. Simpson case, Brian Etten, previously of News Nation, the families of Abby and Libby of the Delphi case, Nate Eaton of East Idaho News, and so much more. So many more. I've met a ton of podcasters who also have ethics and morals. They're on the same mission. They're focusing on victims, keeping the victims in the spotlight, not the abusers, not the perpetrators, and advocacy. There's even an advocacy con, which it's in New Mexico this time. I really wish I could go. I hope to go eventually. I've been to CrimeCon twice, once in Denver, once in Vegas. Amazing. I've met so many people. I found my tribe. I found my community. And again, because I've known Gabby's parents, I've seen firsthand how theories and false information can hurt them, can hurt families in general, victims, investigators. I've talked to these people. I've heard stories. I've hugged them. They've cried. I've witnessed tears from podcasters. I've witnessed tears from mothers whose daughters have been missing for decades and they have no answers. Now, that leads me to my next point. My dear friend Joanne Lowitzer's daughter, Allie, went missing in Spring, Texas, in April of 2010. She literally vanished, and her mother has had no leads and no tips since 2010. She pushes every single day to get up and bring her daughter home. And she's had her fair share of rumors and fair share of people being nasty and assholes just for clickbait and engagement. But she keeps going. Imagine waking up every day not knowing what happened to your daughter. Now, Allie, I did do an episode on this. Allie got off the school bus and wanted to walk to work, something she was never allowed to do. And the one time she was allowed, she vanished. And I also met Dr. Maggie, whose daughter, Brittany Phillips, I also did a podcast episode on in season 1. I've met Maggie. I hold her near and dear to my heart. She drives Caravan to catch a killer. You may see me post about this purple van with Brittany's face all over it. She travels to different states trying to help people find their missing loved ones. And she's always taking donations. I think last I talked to her, she hit 25 trips with 340,000 miles. So I'm always supporting Miss Maggie. Imagine Gabby Petito's parents seeing everybody's cruel comments online and all their lies and bullshit. Guys, I saw the autopsy. 47 pages. The media is at fault for a lot of this. A lot of the rumors, a lot of the misconceptions. They pick and choose what they want. That can be a headline. And they go with it. They spin it. Now, Dirty Laundry, his story was out of that they only found 2 bones. No. They found all but 2 bones. So that's why it's really important to put out information that's factual. And to clear it up, no, his brother and cousin was not a dentist. No, his father was not a retired NYPD. And his mother doesn't currently work with a DA. So this is what I'm talking about. And I'm only using that as an example because that case went wild, people. Wild. The most wild theories and conspiracy theories I've ever heard came up with the Gabby Petito case. And after meeting her parents and talking to them quite often, I don't much anymore because they travel and they're so busy, but I touch base once in a while. But, this they had to deal with these stupid asinine rumors. And they came to CrimeCon and pled and begged people to stop putting out false information. That Brian, Dirty Laundry, is actually dead, guys. He's dead. Please let it go. I'm still seeing this shit online. But that's where I'm getting at. That's the whole point of this. It's the conspiracy theories that hurt families and the investigations. And I didn't meet them, all these people just once. I've met them multiple times. I've talked to a lot of them almost every day. The podcasters, the reporters, the pathologists, the forensic scientists. And I've stayed in contact, but I'm not just another armchair detective. I'm not a, internet sleuth. I'm an advocate. I'm a domestic violence survivor. So I use my voice for the voiceless. And the last thing I want to do is put out information that's not factual. And the more I become invested, the more strongly I feel about this, okay? Facts matter. Accuracy matters. Words matter. Social media has created a world where somebody can post a theory, another person repeats it, someone makes a TikTok about it, and suddenly thousands of people are repeating something as fact. And that was never confirmed in the first place. That's dangerous. A missing persons case is not an episode of TV, guys. It's not a show like Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and Grey's Anatomy. There's no script. This is real people. And people just get on TikTok and believe whatever they read. And suddenly thousands of people are repeating something as, quote, fact that was never confirmed in the first place. That's dangerous. These are real people, folks. Real mothers, real fathers, refreshing their phones, refreshing their news feeds every day, hoping for news. Real children, real parents missing. Real families wondering whether someone they love is ever coming home. Real investigators trying to separate legitimate information from bullshit noise that's going around on the internet. And when the internet starts creating rumors, accusing people without evidence, manipulating information, or building conspiracy theories around incomplete facts, it doesn't necessarily quote, solve this case, okay? Sometimes it adds more chaos. It adds more fuel to the fire. Yes, ask questions. Absolutely. Question inconsistencies. Look at timelines. Examine evidence, discuss possibilities, ask why something doesn't match or make sense. Okay, now I will say this. I've seen Nancy Grace speak twice, and I've met her. And yeah, she is nice. She's not this evil woman that everybody sees on TV. She is an advocate for victims and victims' families. And I don't know if you know this, but how she got into journalism and news reporting and being a prosecutor is because her fiance got murdered right before they got married. So she changed her whole direction in life. And that's why she gets so passionate and so just calling people out on their bullshit, because it happened to her. She is not just a prosecutor or a news reporter who wants clicks. She had her fiance murdered. Okay. There's a reason why she's the way she is. And I love her. I support her 100%. I dream to be Nancy Grace. So yes, look at it. Now people might say, well, Tiff, you're on social media. You're posting stuff all the time. There's a difference between what I post and what I think, okay? I've been a social media marketing manager since 2013 for many restaurants and local businesses. I've also been in sales and marketing for local radio for 7 years, and now I'm in insurance. The reason, now, people are going to come at me for this because I have tattoos. It doesn't affect how I do my job. I have a mouth like a sailor. Guess what? It doesn't affect my job. I've overly posted information, and my friends come at me for it. I have said things that made me look unhinged and not good. Care. I don't have regrets, and people will judge me for it. I have posted that I don't like something with watermelon. And because as a food photographer and social media influencer, I could say, I don't like this martini because it's watermelon. But if you love watermelon, you're going to love this. And they would forget the last part and just come at me because I don't like watermelon at a certain restaurant. If I said one chef cooked this lobster amazingly, but left out the rest of their staff, I got hung at the cross. If I said somebody had great customer service, but I didn't like their food, I got hung at the cross. I'm not allowed to have an opinion in social media. And that's why I fucking love having a podcast, because it's a place where I can be me. It's my platform. I can say whatever the fuck I want. And people will either follow me because they enjoy it or they'll unfollow me because they don't. I don't ever have people getting on Facebook messaging saying, I unfollowed your podcast because I don't like you. And if they did, I'd be like, all right, thanks for the honest feedback. Have a good day. Like, everybody that knows me knows, because working in social media, and I'm getting somewhere with this, I promise, I don't wear a mask. What you see is what you get. I'm not going to be someone on camera or behind the microphone and be different than I am in person. I'm unfortunately the same menace I am behind a microphone and behind a keyboard. So I'm very transparent. I'm a whistleblower. A lot of people don't like it. I'm very ambitious, headstrong. I'm loud. I'm opinionated. I'm aggressive. I'm pushy. And usually every goal I set for myself, I achieve, within means, And when I was in CrimeCon in Vegas, I had a few, conversations with Joe Petito. I love Joe Petito. And if you've ever seen him on TV or social media or in person like I have, he holds a room's attention. People listen to what Joe Petito has to say. And there was a video that he did way back when Gabby was still missing. And he stood in front of people, the media, people who came out to the court, and there was an easel of Gabby behind him. And he said, this is what matters. Bringing Gabby home, finding Gabby. This is the priority. This is what matters. And he said it kind of like that. I'm paraphrasing it just a little bit. But he always said that it's the media's fault. They didn't have a choice. They didn't ask to have Gabby's case go viral. They're thankful. They are so thankful because it led to finding Gabby. But they want the attention of every missing person's case that Gabby had. And that they strive for that. And they openly say it every day. But he looked at it and said, that picture of Gabby, so that's what matters. And that's kind of where I'm getting at here. But when I had a conversation with him in Vegas again, and I've talked to Joe quite a few times, but I met them in person in in Denver CrimeCon in September 2025. But I've been talking to them online for like 2 or 3 years, and I've talked to Nikki almost daily, with texting and whatnot, and Tara occasionally. I don't talk to Jim and Joe often because they're often in their own thing, but I was fortunate enough to have a few, I like to say, how are they called? I found out I was allergic to them. They have mango in them. Palomos I don't know how you say it. I can't remember. There's the palomos with the petitos or something like that. And I would laugh, but I had a few. It was like 2 a.m. and I went outside to talk to Joe. And I said, Joe, how do you hold someone's attention? Like, how do you hold a room of attention like you do? Because he's very stern. And when Joe walks into a room, like, you can feel his presence, and he's very nice, but he's very he speaks and you shut the fuck up. Like, that's Joe. Like, that's my, experiences with him. But he's very kind and he's fun. He's funny as hell, but he just has this aura around him that when he speaks, you're going to listen. And I was like, how do you do this and get people to listen without being an asshole? Because he knows, he knows I'm very opinionated and I'm very loud and, forward and blunt, and I don't have a filter 99% of the time. And I was like, I know, that's how I am, but how can I tune it back, scale it back some, so I don't come off as this over aggressive, opinionated asshole. And because I've been in sales, he's been in sales. He's like, all right, when you go to make a sales pitch, do you aggressively come at people and demand that they listen to you and believe you? Or do you try to have a conversation and be open-minded and, this, that, and the other? You see where I'm getting at here, he said. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And he goes, and this is something he said that I'll take with me. And it's been on my mind every single day since the last night at CrimeCon in Vegas. Was the end of May, early June. He says, you don't always have to be the loudest person in the room to be heard. And I just went silent. And then he had to go to the bathroom when he went into Caesars. But I was like it just stuck to me at 2:00 in the morning. And I'm like, I'm a voice for the voiceless, but sometimes I am too loud. I will admit it. Sometimes I overextend myself. Sometimes I say things and I'm just I sound like I'm mean or an asshole, but I'm not. It's just because I'm passionate. And when I get passionate about something, my friends know that I will use my voice. And because I'm a domestic violence survivor, I won't stay silent to make other people comfortable. So I wanted to make, this podcast about part 2 about Sara, but I also really wanted to focus on the importance of being assertive, but not being an asshole, being aggressive, but not being mean, getting your point across without cutting other people down, putting out factual information. And people will say, like, well, Tiff, you're on social media and you put out information and you're on TikTok, you're on Facebook, but there's a difference. I talk to the families and I talk to their advocates and I get the facts. Even with Sara's case, I posted updates today and I sent her the post before I posted it and said, is this okay to post? Is there anything that I'm not allowed to say? Or is anything on here not true? She approved that I posted all of it. So I want to make that very clear. Now, the other day, I got information from another family member that Sara went to rehab near Lancaster. So I put that out there where someone thought they saw her. And actually, the information was wrong. She went to rehab 3 hours from Lancaster and another one in New Jersey. And I got on and I corrected it and I apologized. And, that wasn't the correct information. And you would assume because it came from a family member that it would be accurate. But now moving forward, I'm only going to speak to her mother. And everything I've been posting, her mom has approved at this point. And there's things I know that I'm not allowed to talk about. There's things that I don't know because she's not allowed to talk about. So I respect that. Working with the Lala Clark case in Wilkes-Barre, I did a 5-part podcast on her. She was the 15-year-old deaf girl who went missing in January, and his body was found in February, and her life was taken by the hands of her aunt. And I've been in constant contact with her parents and her family advocates since day one, and I don't post anything without their permission. I don't come up with my own theories and post them. I don't post opinions. Now, going back to what I just said, I'm a very opinionated person. But when it comes to true crime, I have stopped being that way. Because after I met the Petitos, I learned that I was ignorant, putting out my own theories. I was ignorant, putting out my videos on TikTok, trying to connect the dots, or if Dirty Laundry was actually alive, and what his parents were doing. And I had nothing to fucking back it up. And I never realized how harmful that is until I met them. Until I met other families whose loved ones have gone missing or have been murdered. And you see the tears in their eyes and you hug them and you feel their pain. And they just want the truth out there. And they're overshadowed by all these rumors that circulate, all these conspiracy theories on things that people think they know when they don't, guys. It's, again, question everything. But there's a huge difference between raising questions and saying this is what happened when you don't have evidence to prove it. There's a difference between a theory and a fact. There's a difference between suspicion and evidence. There's a difference between asking questions and publicly accusing someone of a crime. And there's a difference between advocating for answers and creating a conspiracy because the truth isn't dramatic enough. If something is unconfirmed, then say this is unconfirmed. If something is your theory, then say this is my theory. If you discover that something you shared was wrong, grow some balls, take some accountability, do the right thing, and correct it. There's absolutely no shame, none, in saying, I got that wrong, but here's the correct information. Like I said, I literally had that happen to me the other day. And I corrected it and moved on from it. And now I have the real information to move on with. And if I put that information out there too long, it could have got to the wrong eyes, the wrong ears, and things could have spiraled out of control. So I was really upset that I did that, really upset. But again, I took information from another family member thinking that it was accurate, but it wasn't. So, I'd rather correct myself publicly than knowingly allow misinformation to continue spreading. I don't give a shit who posts something first. I don't care if it takes somebody a month to post something. If it's the right information, that's all that matters. Because being first doesn't help a family if you're wrong. Doesn't help the victim, and it sure as hell doesn't help the investigation. So going viral does not matter. It doesn't make something true. Thousands of people share things that are ran on a rumor, and they turn it into evidence. And, they try. And sometimes someone's tragedy should never become an opportunity to manufacture a more entertaining story. It just shouldn't. I love true crime. I love investigating, researching, asking uncomfortable questions, examining different personalities and possibilities, and giving victims a voice. But The difference is I learned from being an ignorant asshole and being a couch detective in the past because I've met people who've gone through this. I have hugged them and shed tears with them. And now I realize how bad and how harmful and hurtful it is, guys. I have a friend, Hope Hogan. You can follow her on Facebook and Instagram on Hope in the Pain. She's also a podcast host of Voices Against Filicide. Filicide is the actual term of when parents take the lives of their children. She is an advocate for filicide because she's lived it. Her estranged husband had some mental health issues. And there's actually an episode where I interviewed her on this podcast, and I have her book, but I've met her in person, and I have her, as a friend, and her husband was having mental health episodes, and she kept warning that the kids weren't safe with him, and he wasn't safe for himself. Nobody listened. They kept the custody 50-50, and unfortunately, he took their lives and then his. So she's out changing laws in Arizona. She got the Alec and Lydia law passed. That's the names of her kids. So if you get on her Facebook or Instagram, you'll see pink and green for Alec and Lydia. And she got laws changed that the courts have to have good justification and reasoning on why they want to remove or keep kids in the home, or go over every dotted line and dot the I's across the T's, and they have to write a statement backing up what they're doing. And she's also trying to get the law changed in Michigan too. And people like that, when you meet people like that whose kids were murdered by the hands of their father when they were in his custody for the weekend, somewhere where she thought they were safe. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being that person? Do you imagine being my friend, Miss Joanne, who's woke up every day since April of 2010, not having one tip or lead on where her daughter is, and people sending her false shit, or people claiming things that aren't true, and they get their hopes up and then they're broken and shattered all over again? Do you imagine if that was you, or if someone that you loved went missing? And these people beg and plead and get on their knees and spend every financial means they have to bring their loved ones home or get answers. And you can't take 2 seconds to share a missing person's flyer. Think about that for a second. Think about the importance. If somebody that you loved went missing, you would be asking everybody to share that flyer, because all it takes is one set of eyes and one set of ears. Now, I've had people message me, well, should I share this? Should I share that? They're not from my area. They're not from my state. Yes, always share it. Doesn't matter who, what, where, when, or why. Because you never know where a missing person's going to end up, where they're going to pass through. You just never know. And it takes one pair of eyes. Now, I remember a few months back, there was a little girl missing. It made national news. I cannot remember her name. And she was abducted. And these movers were in another state, and they saw her. And the guy's like, that looks like the little girl from the missing flyers poster. So they called in the police. They actually barricaded the woman's car, and she couldn't get out because they had a big moving truck. Until the authorities got there, and they did discovered that it was that little girl, and that was in a whole different state. And because that guy had seen her flyer floating around Facebook, he recognized her. That is why you should post and share every person's social media flyer. Guys, I have perfected my algorithm where I don't see shit. I don't see bullshit. I don't see politics. I don't see what people are arguing about. There's actually a setting in Facebook where you can turn off or show limited amount of politic posts. My algorithm is so good now that all I see is true crime stuff, and all the people I follow are food. I don't pay attention to the background noise. I don't see it. I have literally perfected it. Like when ads pop up or posts that I see of people I'm not even following or friends with, I just kept hitting not interested, not interested, not interested. And eventually my algorithm was like, oh no, she's not playing. Like, she only wants to see this shit. So, and if you scroll past the flyer, if you don't want to share it, at least comment and like it. Because what you're doing is you're helping their algorithm. The more people engage with it, especially if you give it hearts, like love the post instead of liking it, it's more likely to show up in someone's newsfeed. The more people who interact with it, the more it's going to get boosted into the Facebook algorithm. So if you don't want to share it for your own reasons, at least like the post so it gets more active and more people see it. It takes one set of eyes and one set of ears to save a life, guys. And if it was your loved one, you would be begging everybody to share that flyer. It baffles me. And this is going to be me where, I get loud and aggressive and pushy and forward. It baffles me that people will share the most asinine, ignorant, unproductive bullshit on social media. You're quick to share something funny. And again, we all share funny shit. We all need to laugh because this world sucks. But people would rather post inaccurate information and argue with each other, especially politics, than post a missing persons flyer, try to save somebody. And please make that make sense. Make that make sense, please. Now, I've been recovering from surgery. I had laparoscopic adhesiosis a week ago, where I had scar tissue growing in my organs, stretching like bubble gum, sticking to my organ and my abdominal wall, just stretching. Now, that's scar tissue from 2 previous abdominal surgeries, and that's the only cure of surgery. I've had a lot of time to sit and research and get facts and talk to people about Sara's case. I've had a lot of time to do my due diligence and research myself. And, I ask questions, but I don't post saying, I think this is who did it, or has to be who did it. That's so dangerous, not only for you, your well-being, because if somebody is unhinged and they do take someone else's life and they know that you're out there spreading that information, guys, protect yourselves. First and foremost, protect yourself. I'm never going to post a theory ever again. Ever since I met Gabby's parents, I will not. I won't say my opinion. I will say, I have my thoughts about this, but I'm not going to post it. Because it takes one post to ruin a life. It takes one post to destroy your life, and you could put yourself in danger. But I do want to make it known that when I post things, I am not pointing fingers. I'm not accusing people. I'm not putting blame on people. I'm not the cops. I'm not the parents involved. I'm not the family investigators. I'm not the victim. Who the fuck am I to get on there and say, well, this is what happened. This is who did it. The whole JonBenet Ramsey case was twisted and put out of I've met JonBenet's dad and her brother. And that's another case I could talk to in my sleep and it would make sense. But I will never sit here and give out who I think did it and why or where. Now, I will say who I don't think did it, because that's less, accusatory than saying someone who did, who didn't. But the media took that one, and they fed the people what they wanted for so long that people believe what the media put out without getting the facts themselves. And because I've met John Ramsey and Burke, I've looked in their eyes, I've hugged John, and when you're standing in front of them, it's a whole different experience. True crime is true crime for a reason. Guys, pay attention to the word true. Okay, and yes. People are manipulators, people are gaslighters, people are abusers, and people get away with murder every day. We get it. We know that. Okay? We know that. But don't forget the word true. We're not going, I think this is what happened crime, or maybe this is what happened crime, or what I saw it on TikTok, so this is the truth crime. These are real people. It's true. It's real people, not TV. And, it's just very important that you don't accuse people. You can say all day, you can do and say what you want. Again, I'm not your boss, and I'm just trying to give a tip on how it affects you and how it affects others, and protect yourself. And I'm not going to get on here and say who I think did this or that, where, when, why, or how. All I'm going to do is tell you what I know that are facts from the family. That's it. I can have my opinion. It doesn't mean I have to put it online, because that's not important. What happened, where it happened is important, but the most important thing is where these victims are, to bring them home, to find them. Everything else will come later. That should be the priority. Okay. And I learned that from Joe Petito. That should be the priority, finding the person. Everything else takes a back seat, because you can come up with all these theories and all these conspiracy theories as you want, but that's all they are, theories, because you don't have any evidence to back them up. So once you have Sara or whoever else is missing, then you can go from there, right? Sometimes you have to start backwards to go forward. Now, I will get into Sara in one second, because again, this is part 2. And, but I just thought this was very important to stress, because I've had a lot of people come into my DMs telling me this, that, and the other. Some people are trying to argue what I'm putting out. Not a lot, only 3 or 4. But then I present that message to Sara's mom, and she's like, yeah, no, that's not true. Or no, don't listen to that. Or that person's not a good, a reliable source, I should say. There's always going to be people out there that oppose what you're saying. right? And I'm open. I'm open to hearing everybody. But I'm not going to turn around and say, oh, well, this person said this in my messenger this morning, so I'm going to go run to Facebook now and put up a new update. That's not an update. That's just hearsay. And I sent it to her mom, and if her mom said, yes, that's true, that's an update, I would have said as such. But I didn't post it because it's not true. See how easy it is? See how easy that is, guys? It would have been so irresponsible of me to take those messages and just update people on Facebook and say, I heard this today, blah, 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 blah. That's going to hurt a lot of people, a lot of victims, and a lot of investigations. Like, don't do it. And don't. Stop. And if said people involved were involved and people want to keep spiraling that and putting that out there, that's on you. But don't be coming to my page saying that I'm saying somebody has involved. The only thing I can say with any case that I work on is I give names and situations and facts, times, places of what happened to that person leading up to it, or facts that I have as it's going along. I don't say what my theory is or my opinion is. That I'm not, because my opinion doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter what I think or who did it. What matters is finding Sara and finding all the missing people and bringing them home. That's what matters the most. What I think and what you think don't matter, because it's just like that. It's a thought. It's a theory. It's a hypothesis. It's a maybe. It's a conspiracy. It's not evidence. It's not fact. So it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you can have all your thoughts and feelings on that as you want. You can unfollow me. You can whatever. You can curse at me in my DMs. I don't really give a shit because I don't care. And second, you're hurting yourself and you're hurting the victim. Again, if you go pointing fingers at people and they're not a good person and they're not mentally all there and they're unhinged and they have a history of violence, you might want to watch your back. That's all I'm saying. Like, you just never know. And I'm just saying, like, I don't know who is involved with Sara's case. I don't know them personally. I don't know who the people are that last saw her. I'm not pointing fingers at them. I'm not sitting here going, well, they did it, because a lot of you are. A lot of you out there are all saying immediately that they did it. Now, I can understand why you think that, because Sara has had a history of dating this man on and off since high school with history of abuse. Because I'm a domestic violence survivor, I 100% understand why you think that, but it doesn't make it true. Someone can be an abuser. It doesn't make them a murderer. Okay? Now, the chances of that being accurate are low, because most abusers murder people, but it doesn't make it the truth every single time. Just because someone dropped somebody off somewhere, like his mother dropped Sara off at the HO Mart, doesn't mean she had anything to do with it. It doesn't immediately mean necessarily that she knows exactly what happened, when, where, why, and how. Maybe she just dropped Sara off, hung out at the gas station, and that's all she knows. I'm not saying that's the truth, and I'm not saying it's not the truth. I'm just saying that's all the information we have. You can go back and forth on it all day. You can be black, you can be white, you can be red, you can be green, you can be up, you can be down, you can be black or white, whatever. Just because she had an abusive relationship and just because his mother saw her last and dropped her off does not mean that those two people are the people. It could have been anybody, guys. It could have been anybody. Maybe she hitchhiked and got into somebody's car. Maybe she met up with somebody that recognized her and she got in their car. Maybe it was just some random person hanging out in the woods. You don't know. You cannot just assume because it makes sense to you that that's the truth. A lot of things make sense. Doesn't mean it's true, you know. So there's a responsibility that comes with having a microphone and a platform. Okay, you don't get to just forget that there's a human being behind the headline. And there aren't characters. These aren't storylines. These aren't mysteries created for our entertainment. Okay, that's someone's daughter, son, mother, father, sister, brother, best friend, aunt, uncle, cousin, grandparents, neighbor, coworker, colleague. So yeah, it's like, I'll keep asking questions and I'll keep digging and I'll keep advocating, but I'll keep telling these stories, but not without the facts or speaking to somebody who's actually involved in the case. Otherwise, it's hearsay and it's bullshit and it's going to hurt the investigation. It's going to hurt the victims. I don't have a sponsor on this podcast, guys. Like I said, I don't give a shit. If it came in time, cool. If not, cool. Like, I do it because I want to help people, because I like helping people. Facts or rumors? Facts from rumors, guys. You need to separate facts from rumors, evidence from speculation, questions from accusations, and truth from content. Because victims and their families deserve more than you getting engagement and clicks and roses thrown at you on TikTok. They deserve the truth. They deserve to know where their loved one is, and they deserve to have answers and to bring them home. So that's my rant on that. I'm trying my best not to be aggressive and unfiltered and overly opinionated, but it's important. It's important that I say it. But now into Sarah's case, part 2. Sara Reynolds went missing July 2nd, 2026, off of Route 492, I-81 in New Milford, PA. Now, New Milford is by the New York border, and it's about an hour from Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area, just to give you an idea for my listeners. She was last seen wearing the black sleeveless shirt, gray leggings, and black hay boots. She has a 5-year-old son who she would never abandon. She missed his birthday, something she would never do. She has facial piercings, auburnish, reddish, brownish hair, brown eyes, and about 130 pounds at 5'2". That's all I know about her. Those are the facts that I know about Sara Reynolds. Now, some other facts that her mother has confirmed. Yes, she had drug problems in the past. Yes, she's been to rehab. She's been getting her life together. And she was dating this person who, from high school, back and forth, who has a history of domestic violence. This person was also recently arrested for, throwing, kicking, I don't know the exact word, his most recent girl down the steps. She called the cops. Now, this is a girl that he started seeing right after Sara disappeared, maybe before, I don't know. I'm not in a love triangle. I don't know exactly what happened. I just know he used to see Sara, and then he abused this new girl. She called the cops. Now, I don't know if that other girl's talking to him again, but he claimed from messages that I've seen that Sara was his world, and he never abused her, never did anything. And but then he turns around and gets arrested for assault for somebody else. So, take that as you want it. I don't know. I wasn't there, but you can't sit there and say you're not an abuser, and then a few days later you're arrested because you push your girlfriend for your new girl down the steps. Like, okay. And other people are saying that I've seen screenshots of messages to her family and other people that they only dated for a month. They didn't know each other in high school, but that a lot of people are saying that's false information. And I'm going by what her mother says. And her mother says they dated on and off since high school. And I also have a very close friend who I've known since 2018. Her son also used to date Sara. So she knows the truth. And I won't mention who that is, but she even told me that. So there haven't been many updates. But again, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not saying her on-again, off-again boyfriend did this. I'm not saying his mother did this. I'm not saying either of them know anything. And now you're going to come out and you go, well, how could you not? It's like, how stupid are you? It's not the fact that I'm stupid. It's the fact that I don't fucking know the truth. I don't have the evidence or the facts, guys. So I just wanted to say that because my DMs are blowing up. People saying that it's them. Like, believe and say what you want online, but I'm not going to do it. But I would highly encourage you not to. Again, for the safety of you and your own family. And that you don't ruin somebody else's life. If it comes out later, then it comes out. But right now, it doesn't matter who, where, when, why. It matters where Sara is to bring her home. That's what matters. And that's all we can focus on right now. What you think happened does not matter. It literally serves no purpose. None. It's just spreading more rumors, and it's like the telephone game. The most important thing you can do is share her flyers. Try to talk to her family. Get facts yourself. But don't just get on TikTok and Facebook and say, well, I think this happened. Or there's no way that these two had anything to do with it. No, you don't know that. They could or couldn't have. It's black or white, up or down, white, red or green. That's it. They either did or they didn't. But you putting pieces together and saying that they did doesn't mean that they did, guys. Like, calm down. Okay, and I'm not defending anybody. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm trying to be Switzerland here and be neutral and point out the fact that it can be dangerous to accuse somebody when you don't have the evidence to back it up. So just be careful what you post. Be very conscientious of what you post, what you say, because you can't take it back, especially when it's online. Now, not with screenshots, guys. I've been through court enough with my ex. I save every screenshot. I save everything because you're not going to gaslight me in front of the judge. It ain't happening. We're gaslight the judge. So just be mindful of how you're projecting this case. Try to leave your opinion and feelings about it out of it and just focus on bringing Sara. There haven't been really any new updates. Again, I was told a few things I'm not allowed to say, And then there's a few things her mom knows that she's not allowed to say. But what I do know and what I can share, I had posted this morning and yesterday that I had full permission from her mom to post what I posted. She looked at it and said it was good to go, because I'm not going to post something now after what happened 2 days ago. I posted a little bit of information that was wrong, and then I had to go and correct myself, edit a video, take the post down, repost it, because it could have harmed it. And I took accountability. I apologized. She wasn't mad, but it was just the wrong location of where she went to rehab. And I'm not going to say that's all, because that could be very serious. If they're looking in a certain area and people think she went to rehab there, which she didn't, and then it could cause a mess. So I corrected it. But now moving forward, I sent her my post this morning and said, is there anything wrong with this? Is there anything I'm not allowed to mention? Or is there anything you'd like to add? She goes, looks good to me. So I had her full permission to post what I posted. So for those who don't follow me on Facebook and only listen, updates as of August 7th, 2026. Okay, Sara Reynolds, obviously, like I said, went missing July 2nd, 2026. Last seen at the HO Mart in New Milford, PA. There was a possible lead that Sara was seen in Lancaster area, which is Elizabethtown, on or around August 4th or August 5th. On August 6th, the surveillance footage was reviewed, and the woman had short blonde hair and appeared older than Sara. Sara's mother believes it was not her after all. However, we cannot dismiss it completely. I also want to clear up the inaccurate info. So, somebody said that she was near E-Town, which is Elizabethtown. This is not the area where Sara went to rehab in 2019 or 2020. It was actually in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and Langhorne, PA, which is 3 hours from Lancaster. So those who didn't see my updated post but saw my videos before I edited them, please know that she did not go to rehab in Lancaster or Elizabethtown. So take that out the window. The photo attached that I have on social shows an arrow. And it's confirmed by Sara's mom that that's where she left on foot, crossed from HO Mart, after her on-again, off-again boyfriend's mother dropped her off. She took off on foot and walked up that hill. The manager of the HO Mart has little footage, and I did ask her mom if the footage from the surveillance could be released to social media, and she doesn't think it can. It could be. I don't know who has it. I don't know if the police has it. I don't know if the gas station's still has it. I don't know. So a lot of you asked me that question, and that's my answer. I don't know. I haven't seen the footage. I'd like to, but I haven't seen it. New reports have come in that Sara's ex, again, the guy who claims he never abused her and only, she was his world, again, was arrested for domestic violence on a new girlfriend right after Sara disappeared. She called the authorities on him. The HO Mart is approximately 8 or so miles from his mom's house. His mom was the last to see Sara, dropping her off at the HO Mart. She stayed another 15 minutes at the HO Mart, apparently, according to her mom, playing the slots and was in the car for a few minutes too. The same car that the Pennsylvania State Police was looking for on Carter Road in Montrose. He, meaning the on-again, off-again boyfriend, and his mom, neither have shared any info on Sara's disappearance except one time on Facebook. There has been a search party, and the Pennsylvania State Police have went there about 4 times, but an officer has to be present now if there's a search party because a lock got broken on a gate. I guess it was private property and the owner got pissed off. So if they do it again, there has to be a cop present. Don't go wandering on people's property, guys. It's not cool. Pennsylvania State Police have been working on getting cell phone data. So that's in the works. I don't have any more updates on that, but they are trying to get, I don't know if they needed a search warrant to get the information like the text or if they're trying to locate the pin, the last ping where it was. I'm not positive, but this is crucial right here. I think this is the most important evidence I've gotten, not evidence, but information I've gotten. The day before Sara disappeared, she contacted a former boyfriend. She had a black eye, not from him, but from this on-again, off-again person. And then she blocked him on Snapchat. And we're not sure if it's because the on-again, off-again boyfriend made her or what. But the photos that she had a black eye with disappeared, and this former boyfriend wasn't sure how Snapchat worked like that. He did reach out to Sara's mom and told her this. And I got that information from her mom. And I saw the message. So, from him. And he knew there was history of abuse. And he kept saying, I need more information so if something happens, I can help you. And she finally told him. But or didn't give him the full information, but like he knew that it was abusive, but didn't have all the facts, but he knew enough. And he kept asking her to give him all the information. That's what it was. So she did reach out to him the day before she disappeared. And I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying, like, she reached out to him as a confidant, someone she trusted and needed help. But that's really all the only updates we have, guys. Like, there isn't a lot. As much as this is getting shared and talked about, I wish somebody would say something. Somebody knows something. Sara did not just walk up a hill and vanish in thin air. People don't vanish. They don't turn to stone. They don't turn to sand. They don't turn to dust just walking on a road. So either she got in someone's car or someone ambushed her, took her hostage, kidnapped her, threw her in the car, took her life, has her captive in the basement. I don't know. I'm just giving ideas of what could have happened. Because anything is possible, right? Anything's possible. And, unless she fell in the woods, I doubt it, because the police never found her 4 trips out there and a search party. No. So she got in the car with somebody or was dragged on foot. That's plausible. It's possible that those 2 things happened. Okay. Now again, that's not a fact, so don't quote me. All I'm saying is people don't disappear and vanish into the woods or on a road. So she either had to keep walking and she got in the car with someone, or someone ambushed her and took her. I mean, those are the most believable concepts here. So again, what we do know is Sara was last seen in black hey dudes, a black sleeveless shirt, and gray leggings. She's a mother of a 5-year-old who she'd never leave abandoned. She missed his birthday party, something she would never do. She has a history of drug use and has been in and out of rehab. There is a history of domestic violence with her on-again, off-again boyfriend from high school, the man whose mother dropped her off to the HO Mart, then stayed another 15 minutes after Sara left on foot across the street and going up the hill. The HO Mart is off Route 492 and I-81 in Milford, PA. She has facial piercings, which are eyebrows and nose, what appears to be dermals or gems near her eyes in some of the photos. She's 130 pounds, 5'2", and has auburn-colored hair. Now, this is part 2. I've done a podcast, which was season 3, episode 11, and that's also available on Spotify, YouTube, iHeart, Apple, and Amazon. And if you have any information, leads, or tips, even if you're not positive, please call Pennsylvania State Police at 1-800-472-8477. Again, that's the Pennsylvania State Police, 1-800-472-8477. Or you can contact Trooper Godino of the Gibson Police Department, 570-465-3154. Again, that's Trooper Godino of Gibson, 570-465-3154. Please share any and all missing persons flyers you see, guys, please. Even if they're not from your area, they could end up anywhere. They could pass through anywhere, and you could save a life. Again, I want to make this very clear. True Crime with Tiff Klein, I am not blaming, directing, or accusing anyone of the disappearance of Sara. All the information has been given to me by her mother, her last known appearance, who she was with, in the events and factors leading up to it. This info has been confirmed through Sara's family, and I'm not making false statements, claims, or accusations on anyone. I am raising awareness on facts and hoping to bring Sara home. So again, I'm not saying who I think did. I'm not saying who I think didn't do it. At this point, I just want Sara home. I want her family to have answers. That's what's important. Figure out the rest later. Okay. I have been recovering from surgery, so I haven't been recording people, but I do want to give a quick shout out. I will be interviewing Danny After Dark. She's a true crime book nerd like me. And Trial the Rescue Coalition, Greg Schiller, who I met at CrimeCon. He helps bust predators online. I have Nicole and Jemmy coming up. She's a pathologist and author of an anatomy book. Joe Scott Morgan, who's a distinguished scholar. He's the GOAT of true crime. A forensic and death investigator and a professor at Jackson University in Alabama with a forensics lab, and gets to show people how to do autopsies on cadavers. Like, how cool is that? I also have some domestic violence survivors lined up. I have hopefully Cheryl McCollum. She's just so damn busy, but I want to talk about how she helped crack a cold case with the Flint River Killer from behind bars, and a ton of other people. So things are picking up. I'm meeting some really cool people. I'm staying quiet right now about the Lala Clark case because, like I said, there's a gag order. There was supposed to be a hearing on July 29th, but they pushed it to September. So Candace can't give me any information. But we're supposed to go for margaritas soon. I saw a meme the other day because we were talking about it when I interviewed her last. I'm like, Senorita, we made margaritas. And she's like, I did not forget. So that's in the works. And, you know, I want to end this episode with a quote on my arm that says, just be a nicer person. And it's a domestic violence ribbon as the body of a butterfly and rainbow wings, because I love Lisa Frank. And just be a nicer person is Gabby Petito's quote. Now, I thought it was appropriate to get because growing up through high school and even now, I always say to people, just be a good fucking person. It's not that fucking hard. So when I found out that her quote was just be a nicer person, I'm like, all right, this is less vulgar. I could put this on my body. And let me remind my listeners out there, especially the ones close to home who live in my community, who know what I'm talking about. If you don't want people knowing that you're a shitty person, guess what? Don't be a shitty person. If you don't want people thinking that you're a shitty person, guess what? Don't do shitty things. If you don't want people knowing that you're a liar or abuser or a cheater, guess what? Don't lie, cheat, and abuse. It's that fucking simple. I'm a whistleblower and I will fucking whistle your ass out. I will tell everybody if you're an abuser to me, if you disrespect me, I don't give a shit because guess what? That's my story. It's not defamation and slander. When it's true, I have screenshots and proof to back it up and I lived it. If I'm a part of that story, guess what? It ain't slander, baby. That's my story. Now, there is a line when you can attack somebody's business, which I'm not doing, but I've been through enough with a few different men and I don't put up with it. So, another phrase I always say, if you see something, say something. Don't stay silent to make other people comfortable. Don't. It serves no purpose. I know people will see something and say, I don't want to get involved, but you getting involved could save a life. All right? So just be mindful. Be mindful of what you post. Be mindful of how you treat people. Be mindful of what you share. Be mindful of putting your opinion and theories out there, guys. I'm telling you, I have seen it firsthand ruin and hurt people. Just please try not to do it. Please. Please get the facts right. Please get the evidence right and correct it if you get it wrong and admit it. And please try to bring Sara Reynolds, born and raised in Nicholson, PA, went missing in New Milford Township at the HO Mart, last seen off Route 492 at I-81. You guys can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at True Crime with Tiff Klein. You can also follow the Finding Jesse Farbler and Finding Sara Reynolds Facebook pages. Huge resources to look at and for updates. And Finding Jesse Farbler promotes a lot of missing people. It's such a good page and accurate information as well. And I do have another podcast called Turning the Corner. It's more about domestic violence, nonprofits, missing persons, relationships, cheating, narcissism, anything really, life. So some of my podcasts from this one will cross over to that one because it kind of matches. But that's Turning the Corner with a K, Korner. My colors are still orange and yellow, which all came from Klein's Corner, my food photography business starting in 2013. So I tried to keep the, motif the same because of branding. But I thank you all for sharing everything. I thank you all for the follows. I thank you all for the messages and the support and for supporting Sara's family and really trying to bring her home. And I've had very, very, very few people come at me, and I've had very few people put their theory online, which is important. Just post the flyers, guys. That's all you need to do right now. Just stay tuned for more updates. Anything I get from her mom that I have permission to update you all, I will. I'm going to start trying to do some more shorts on videos because I know y'all like videos. I just don't like videos, but I'll try my best, guys. But I'm more of a blogger, behind the microphone type of person. Most of the time because I look like shit, I feel like shit. But it's funny because when I was little, I used to want to be a radio DJ, and when I ended up in radio sales, now I have a podcast. So it's like, oh, it came full circle. Like, it's so weird. But again, please keep your eyes out for Sara. Please share any missing persons flyer you can. Just check for updates. And again, this is True Crime with Tiff Klein, giving criminals the disrespect they deserve.